how you guys doing? It's me, your buddy, Gabe El Taib. We're going to have a great Friday. I have some awesome dudes. Newish old friends of mine, the great Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon are joining me. So tune in, guys. We got to buckle up. We're going to be talking about Bane. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. So here he comes, Mr. Alien Alamo and Joe Frankenstein and the co-creator of Bane himself, Graham Nolan.
And hey, the Shanu. You forgot the Shanu.
Oh, the Shanu. I'm sorry, the Shanu. Which we're printing we're printing new copies of the Shanu because demand is outrageous right now.
Yeah, the snow from the Charlie Brown is what reminded me.
Do you love those old Charlie Brown holiday specials?
I love two of them. I love the Christmas one and the Halloween one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of both those. The Thanksgiving one is not so great. Although that meal they have is hilarious. That meal of like toast and popcorn and candy or something that Snoopy makes. One thing I'm very disappointed about is my kids hate those Charlie Brown holiday specials. And
even the Christmas one?
They don't like them. My kids say Charlie Brown is old and boring. Now my kids are adults, I should say, but they never liked them. It's awful. It's awful.
Send them back to Russia. You've raised Tommies.
Oh, how did I go wrong? Oh, what if my kids they hated Charlie Brown but they loved Kathy?
You know? Oh, come on.
Now you did newspaper strips for a while, right, Graham? I know you did.
Yeah, what did you do? Like 13 years.
What was the strip that you did?
I did two. I did the Sunday Phantom for King Features.
That's right.
And then I also did the longest run was actually on Rex Morgan MD.
Okay.
And that was the one that ran for like 13 years.
Wow. Now, did you write those also, or did you just illustrate them?
No, I illustrated them. But I did write one of the Phantom storylines when the writer Tony DePaul was injured in a motorcycle accident.
Ooh.
And I became the first artist writer on the Phantom strip in history.
Oh, wow. That's something to be really proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. The Phantom, one of those great pulp heroes, you know.
Yeah, I love the Phantom.
Yeah, very cool stuff. That's how I got into professional art as well. When I was in college in the year 2000, I met Frank Cho at the San Diego Comic Con and just asked him, like, how did you get into comics? Because I loved his work back then. I knew him before, all of you knew him. And he told me he did the strips at the University of Maryland, where he went to college. And so I went back to my school, the University of Northern Colorado. And I was looking at the school newspaper, and Chuck Dixon is here. I'll bring him in. And I told them your strips aren't funny and they're horribly drawn, and they let me write it and draw it for the next 2 years. It was a lot of fun doing a comedy strip.
Neat.
Good morning, Mr. Dixon. How are you? You ready?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic.
All right.
Hey, Chuck.
Computer troubles.
It
wouldn't let me in. So,
we already have the chat is here with Angela Curry, Radio Force, Ryan Hack. Ryan, I got to have you on to talk bric-a-brac. But welcome, Chuck. We have I'll get the ground running. With this one. What if Chuck Dixon wrote Charlie Brown? Chuck, we were discussing the Charlie Brown Christmas specials and the Thanksgiving and the Halloween. Do you like those? And what if you wrote it? Would it be hardcore?
No. You can't touch Schultz's stuff. You can't touch that original stuff. It was so personal to him. You know, I used to have arguments with people when I was a kid, you know, and they would say, well, I would always say when Charles Schultz is gone, Peanuts goes with him. And they go, oh, no, somebody will take it over, because that's what would happen.
Legacy strip.
I said that would never happen. And I turned out I was right. So,
all right.
Now I want to read a Chuck Dixon Snoopy versus the Red Baron.
Yeah.
That's what I want to read.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Right. White knuckle tales of aerial combat. That would be nice.
With a flying doghouse. Yeah.
Right.
Snoopy meets enemy ace.
They had a cover of that. I just saw somebody did one of those super team.
DC
Pony covers. Yeah.
I think I saw that too.
Yeah.
I could just see it. This issue, Snoopy behind enemy lines. You know, he goes down behind the German line, and he has to find his way back or something.
Wasn't he a prisoner of war at some point in the strip? I think he was.
I think so. I think you're right about that. Didn't he have some scraggly cousin, Snoopy, also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the only difference is he has a mustache or something. Or...
Yeah, and he wore a hat.
Yeah.
And he lived in the desert. He lived in Needles, California.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He didn't go to the Daisy Hill puppy farm.
Right. I think and then he had another brother who was chubby called Olaf.
I didn't see that one, but it
Yeah.
sounds like it makes sense. Okay, so let's get a vote here from the three of us. Graham likes, he doesn't like the Thanksgiving one, but he likes the Halloween and he likes the Christmas Charlie Brown. I love both. Hi, Gabe. My favorite Charlie Brown short is The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown because it has my favorite scene. I gotta rock. That is a classic line. How do you feel about it, Chuck? Do you like all of them? None of them? How do you feel about those Charlie Brown?
I like the Christmas one a lot. I have really fond memories of the first time I saw it because I wangled my way into the only house in our neighborhood that had a color TV. And
Oh,
wow. Yeah, I like that one, and I like the Great Pumpkin. I don't care for them after that. It's
Okay.
I hated that animation style. Yeah, because when I was a really little kid, Ford Motor Company used the Peanuts characters as like mascots for a little while.
Oh, really?
And they had these amazing animated ads that looked like a Sunday comic strip come to life. And when I saw the TV specials, it was a bit of a letdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is always funny as a kid when you finally get the toy or you see the movie or the thing or the candy or whatever, the thing you've been after.
Right.
And it's and it gives you that be sure to drink your Ovaltine moment. Do you have anything like that, Graham? Like anything as a kid you wanted so damn bad, and then you got a hold of it and you're like, this is a chunk of crap.
I can't think of anything offhand, but when I revisit things that I loved as a kid, I now look at it and say, oh my God, that was crap.
Okay. How do I feel about the prequel movies from the late 90s?
Well, now those things seem genius.
Oh,
It's true.
You know, they really do, because they didn't repeat themselves. Everyone was different than the first three movies.
Right.
True enough.
Right.
Whereas the newest ones, the sequel ones, are all just derivative of everything else.
Horrible. They
Yeah.
should be ashamed. Oh my goodness! Can you imagine if Disney rebooted Charlie Brown?
No, please don't. Please don't.
Oh yeah.
Goodness. Okay.
Peppermint Patty is a lesbian, and
Right. Well, I think that was already canon, though. No. Or is
I
it-
don't-
well, I think we all might have read into that.
I don't know. I always just thought she was a tomboy.
Right. Okay. So we advertised a little bit today about Bane and you two, because that's what the two you're most famous for. But we'll talk about current projects too. Of course, whatever you guys want to talk about. We're just here to have fun. But I want to know how you two met, what you worked on first, and then if we can get up to the creation of Bane, because I have a few questions about that, knowing some more stuff about you, Graham. Knowing some more stuff about your seedy background. I want to ask some questions about Bane. But how did you two meet? How did was it Denny O'Neil? Who put you two together like peanut butter and chocolate?
Oh, we met at Eclipse Comics long before. Working on Batman, 1986.
It had to be 86. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 86. Chuck was writing Airboy, and I got a gig doing the backup feature for it called Skywolf, which Chuck was also writing, and that was our first job together.
Yeah. We first met in Tim Truman's basement, right?
No, physically the first time we met was at that Chicago Con. We met in I don't know if it was Bo's room where all the guys were in there, Harkins and Flint and Bo and Truman.
Okay.
Yeah, and you.
Okay. Why do I remember? What I think I first saw your artwork in Truman's basement. That's why I think.
Oh,
so
could be.
You had that undersea character that you and your brother were developing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he was showing me drawing, and he said, what about this guy for Skywolf? I'm like, yeah, I like this stuff. So.
Wow, I can't believe that. That's yeah.
I was in second grade. If you're wondering, in 1986. I was in second grade, and I think I told you last week, Chuck, madly in love with Mrs. Stinson, my second grade teacher.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
Oh, the one that got away. Sounds like you spent a lot of time in Tim Truman's basement, though.
Yeah, for a while there. Yeah, that was his studio. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, we just didn't hang out in the basement.
I was going to ask if Tim knew that you were there or not. Or...
Yeah. I was, you know, I lived a while next to the washer and dryer,
Right.
but yeah, he had like this full, you know, big ass basement, and that was his whole studio. That's where everything was. So that's where everything happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tim had a packaging company called Four Winds
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he used to package a bunch of stuff for Eclipse Comics. And there was a lot of work that came through Eclipse through Tim too.
Yeah. I was part of the Four Winds thing for a little while. It got to be too much like, you know, I was a Xerox copy boy all the time. This is what I got into comics to do.
Yeah. So you have Airboy, and then is it also, what did you call him? Skywolf?
Yeah.
Okay, Airboy and Skywolf. It's a little bit before my time. Sorry, I don't know about it.
Sure.
So where did you guys?
It's actually way before your time because they were published by Hillman back in the 1940s.
Goodness.
Golden Age.
Okay, so it was even before your time, technically, the two of you.
Yeah, not Chuck's time, but my time.
Oh, yeah, hey. Hillman went out of business before I was born.
I thought Chuck was the photographer at the Triple Entente between Stalin and... never mind.
I was in that picture, but they took me out.
Oh, that's what the commies do. They airbrush you right out of history.
That's true.
So okay, so how do we get you two over to DC and yeah, you know, I don't want to go too fast, but how do you guys get over there? What do you guys work on over there?
Well, Graham went to DC first. He can tell you that. So
yeah, I was doing a bunch of stuff after I left Eclipse. I did Doom Patrol, Power of the Atom, and then I took over, or not took over, but started Hawk World with John Ostrander and Tim Truman. And then when that came to an end, I was co-plotted and was illustrating a Metamorpho miniseries with Mark Waid. But I'd gone in and out of the offices, and I had meetings with Archie Goodwin and Denny O'Neil and showed them Batman drawings because that was my goal. I really wanted to do Batman.
Right.
And then Chuck, I think, you know, you were writing Robin by that point.
Right.
So this is late 80s, early 90s, about
early 90s. Early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. I was over there in 87, I think.
Yeah.
So just a little before. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see really quick. Let me share this up here. Share screen. Sorry. Was it the one we were talking about last week? This one right here? Was it
well, I was on that at the time, but I think when Graham, I was on Detective for a while before Graham came on to do a fill-in arc.
Okay.
And, you know, we had been looking to work together again anyway. So.
Okay. So the first time you get together at DC, what book is it then?
It's Detective.
It's Detective 650.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. And was that just a fill-in, or what? Are you guys going to do a big arc, or what was it?
It was a one-shot.
Yeah, but I wanted Graham as regular Batman artist because I knew Mike Netzer, that I was going to lose him. Yeah, Netzer. Yeah, I was going to lose him eventually. And I kept saying I want Graham as regular guy. And I think that arc sealed the deal.
I see. So,
yeah, that was just a one-off story about Harold, who was the hunchback who took care of the Batcave, and
that's right.
And then after that, then we did a 2 or 3 issue Huntress story. Oh no, the next one was Bullet for Bullock.
Was it?
Yeah, that was 651.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
We did Bullet for Bullock.
Yeah, I haven't even read that one, but it sounds fantastic. Like a great pulp, noir, like kind of crime thing. That sounds fantastic.
Well, that's the one they adapted as an animated episode.
Oh my gosh! Of course,
first season.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I just got my nieces the Blu-ray DVD of the entire Batman animated series for Christmas. So if they're watching this, Merry Christmas! I guess you guys will. They're 10 and 11, so it's perfect. They love.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know. I was talking to them in a video chat, and I found out they make comics just like I did when I was little. As 10 and 11-year-old girls, they write and draw and then staple this stuff together and all that. And I'm like, wow, it does run in the family.
That's
the
cool.
artistic bent. So, okay, so you guys get on Detective and you do some stuff. How does the Bane project come up? How does this character come up? Was he for Nightfall, or was he just they wanted a new villain, or how did that work? And
it was for Nightfall.
okay,
he was going to be the central villain, the guy that breaks Batman's back, and he was just a big question mark at that point. So,
and what do you remember about, like, what did they request for the villain? Did they have anything in mind? Because I know you told me that you had read some article about North Korea, where if you don't serve your time in prison, then family members have to serve it. So you said, what if we had a kid that grew up in prison? That's brilliant, by the way, to see that in the news and snatch it out and use it. But did any of that come from editorial, or did they just tell you they had an interesting villain?
No, we just understood that we didn't want him to be forgettable, like whatever it was that killed Superman.
Right.
So he had to be a worthy opponent, physical, intellectual equal of Batman, and then he was addicted to Venom, which Denny had created in an arc earlier in Legends of the Dark Knight. So those were baked in, and that's all we knew. And the rest was me and Graham.
Right. So, Graham, from the illustration end, how did you approach this? Like the luchador mask and the wrestling angle, where did all that come from? Because I have my theory on that, but do you want to tell me how you started thinking about Bane visually? Do you remember when you started thinking about how to come up with the iconography for this character?
Well, Chuck and I had a lot of phone conversations, and he was filling me in on the background of the character that he had developed, about him being raised in that prison in this little podunk island nation that was down in, I don't know if it was the Caribbean or, somewhere south of the border. So I felt like, since we needed to brand the character and give him a costume and a look, I felt that that his character, if he was going to be exposed to any kind of costuming, might come from, bootleg TV stuff that he'd see in prison, that might come out of Cuba, or South America, that luchador type of thing. So that's the angle I took on him, was to give him that luchador look. And my original design mask was a true luchador mask. The eyes, the shapes were all the same, but they were cut open so that you could see his eyes, his nose, and his mouth.
Oh.
Because, if you ever wore a mask, man, I mean, it's hard to breathe and things. And
Right.
even the wrestlers, the luchadors, they have all that stuff open so they can breathe.
Right.
And as an artist, I felt it might be better to be able to show him his emotions, how he emotes and stuff. So that's why I did that. But editorial decided let's close up the face, the mask, and give it a more mysterious look, which I think is, in some ways was a good call. But from a practical sense, not so much.
Yeah, the wrestling look was great because we could see the effect of Venom on him because he has so much exposed musculature.
Right.
And then also we were able to show the side effect of Venom,
that
he
vascularity that starts.
Well, he also gets really hairy. He's the hairiest supervillain.
I pulled that out of reading all those bodybuilding magazines and reading about steroid abuse at the time. This is early 1990s. It was really just coming to the forefront of it, and some of the things I read about is the hair on the back and shoulders, pimples, stuff like that. I drew him with the hair and the pimples all over him, and also it's a little bit of trivia. His jawline, I have this extended mandible jawline that always used to come out, and you'd see it like a highlight on the mask. And that look came from bodybuilder, what's his name? Something Pratt. He was known for these gigantic thighs. His last name was Pratt. And he had this jawline that looked like that. And I thought, oh, I wonder if that's from juicing. So
I've heard that.
I gave him that jawline.
Remember Barry Bonds had braces there for a minute and stuff like that. And I've heard that juicing can expand like your head and your jaw and all that. So then they start to get some crooked teeth sometime. And I don't know.
Yeah. Look at the size of Barry Bonds' head from the time I swear to God, when he was a rookie once he started juicing and bulking up, I mean, it would turn into a watermelon.
Right. I think the only guy in Major League Baseball with a bigger head than him was Bruce Bochy. You ever see that guy's dome? He was the manager for the Padres forever, and then he went over to, I think he went to San Francisco. Actually, I think he was the manager there when they won all that stuff early in the 2000s. But he had quite the melon. Yeah. So let me ask you. This is the question I wanted to ask about the design of Bane, with him being a wrestler. You, Graham, were a wrestler now, just in high school, right? Not in college or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So did that inform it at all, or was it just the other thing you said about, maybe he saw luchas on television when he was a kid?
Well, it was basically the luchador thing. I understood, having had to wear singlets, when you're on the mat, that it exposes, all the musculature that's there. So I thought, that this is a perfect way to go with him. Then the pants and stuff are just typical military style pants, which I was thinking revolutionary. And then the belt I stole from Steve Ditko, because the belt was supposed to be his venom packets. And if you look at the shape of the rectangles on the belt, they match the shape of the receiver on his arm, because he was supposed to take the packets out and slap them in, and then press the button and hit the juice up. So that's where he kept his extra venom packets, was in that belt. But I can't remember if we ever showed that.
No, I don't think we ever showed him changing out the venom.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I have another question about Bane, because again, he's a cultural icon. He's in that movie. We'll get to that, guys. But Chuck, let me ask you this one. Did you know, when you made him up and then you sent it off to Graham and you start to see the sketches coming in, you're getting your story ideas, did you know you had a hit here, or did you see it with the fan reaction? When did you guys feel like, oh my God, we made something that's going to stick?
You never know until the fan reaction. Graham can attest to this. We create stuff and we think it's going to take off, and it doesn't. And then you create something because you just had to. And then that's the thing they latch onto. So you never know. That's the great thing about comics. It's a medium where you can just continuously throw stuff against the wall,
right,
and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And you, Graham, you're the same. You felt like, oh, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. You had no idea.
Well, we put the work in,
for sure.
Yeah, I think we figured when early pre-orders and stuff came in that the character was going to be interesting or popular enough to sell the storyline, the Nightfall storyline.
Right.
Whether he had legs after that storyline was a complete surprise. And I mean, it was shortly thereafter that they put him in the animated series. So he jumped into another form of media pretty quickly. And we were like, oh, wow, this is cool. And they made a toy out of it and all that. And then it kind of quieted down for a while. Then they used him very briefly in that horrible Batman and Robin movie. And then it quieted down again. There was many years where Bane was sort of like on the back burner. And then they came out with Arkham Asylum.
Yes.
And that really changed things, because it brought Bane to an entire new generation that weren't around when Nightfall came out. And it was after that Bane really started to take off.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, as an outsider, I was a kid when that Batman cartoon came out, and when those comics were coming out. Bane is so striking visually, and I think in comics we judge everything by the art first, because we don't know the story when we see the art. And it's like, oh, Bane looks cool. He's super, super huge and strong. So the more evil and powerful a villain is, the more heroic the hero is for defeating him. And then you read Bane's origin story, and it's like, oh, okay, he's not just badass looking. There's substance here that makes him really intriguing and stuff. So bravo. Looking back, it's like, how could it not be a hit? But of course, hindsight is 20/20.
Yes.
So, right. Absolutely. So the movie, I've heard from the two of you, not a fan, huh?
Not really.
Not really. So what is it about this? Either of you can feel this, that you're not really not too keen on.
Where to start? Well, one, the mask makes no sense. They're superfluous changes to him. As soon we thought, when you start watching the movie, you think, okay, they got Bane right. Maybe his look isn't right, but they have his attitude and all that. And then we get to the end. We go for this long ride, this convoluted story and we find out, yeah, he's just like he was in the Batman and Robin movie. He's a patsy for a woman.
Right.
And he gets killed in a very underwhelming way. You know, he drove the entire plot of this movie, and then all of a sudden Catwoman shows up and boom, blasts him with a rocket from her motorcycle. End of story. Never hear from him again. And then it becomes the Talia show. That, and they hired a guy too short to be Bane. I could go on and on. I'll leave some stuff for Chuck.
I'm not a big Christopher Nolan fan. His movies are always a mess, and this is, you know, a huge mess. I mean, the way the guy makes movies, he just films and films and films, you know, and then he gives the studio a 5-hour cut, and then they've got to find a movie somewhere in all of that train wreck. And I'm just not a fan. My favorite, by meaning the funniest scene in the movie unintentionally, is where Joseph Gordon-Levitt goes to a sewer manhole, to lower some Chinese takeout down to the thousands of cops now living under the city that have been there for months. And somehow for months, they're still clean shaven. And he lowers, looks like a dinner for two. And then before he replaces the manhole cover, he says, "I'll be back with more." And you just imagine these guys fighting over, you know, spring rolls and lo mein down there.
One guy's digging in. He's like, "I said no mushrooms."
Exactly. I mean, it's like, and that to me is symbolic of how ludicrous all three of those Batman movies were.
Peanut sauce. I have an allergy.
Right. Now I have a special thing for the two of you. If you will indulge me, when somebody found out that I was having you on, and the camera will come back, I have a guest that wanted to ask the two of you a question. So give me 1 second here. Oh, come over here. This isn't ambush journalism, so don't worry.
Okay.
Father, why do you hate me? Why aren't you proud of me? It was your passion that created me. Don't leave me here at DC. Tom Taylor's trying to turn me into a transgender Filipino illegal immigrant. Jim Lee lets them do whatever the fuck they want. Please, take me with you.
Now that you're wearing that mask, Gabe, tell me just how ergonomic it is and how it makes complete sense.
You know what I think? I was talking to my wife. You're welcome, by the way. This is $55 on Amazon, but I had to do it.
You overpaid.
I love doing the Bane voice, but I was talking to my wife, like, what is with this?
Here, I'll add that to the jar.
I love doing the Bane voice. My son gets so irritated, but then he laughs. And I think the reason the mask is this way is because Tom Hardy is a handsome leading man actor, and he wanted his face to show.
I think that's exactly why.
That's
if
what
you
it
ever
is.
saw some of the pre-concept designs, it has that same thing, only there's cloth here with the eyelets the way I originally designed them. So like that was a white area that's all skin now, was white, and so it looked more like Bane with a face hugger on him.
Right.
What they should have done is they should have hired a stuntman to play him and just have Danny Trejo do his voice.
Why not? You can't see his mouth move anyway.
I would have been happy.
Yeah.
It would have been just
they probably would have saved $2 million.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's Darth Vader, you know.
Right. It is.
Yeah. Exactly.
I would like to picture Bane talking about the mundane, like normal things. It's like nachos. Why do the chips on the bottom never have enough cheese? If only there was a way to keep them all warm. So Bane, you gotta go. Okay, Bane's being called away. So let me get rid of it.
My favorite Bane line is from a parody thing where a guy dubbed in new dialogue. The line is, "So what did you have for breakfast?"
So that was our special guest. And that was ambush journalism. I'm sorry, Jim.
Yeah, Santa Gabe is back.
But I had to do that. I had to have some fun there with you. I'm just a tremendous fan of Bane. I'm a big guy, so I always like the big guys. I like the Chewbacca. I like the big characters. I'm 6'4", about 290 pounds. Okay. I love lifting weights, and Graham scolds me about eating carbohydrates. I know it's the holidays, man. Can you?
Hey, I'll be diving into them soon too. So
okay. I'm gonna be like neck deep in cake and blueberry pie. And, do you guys do this? I eat good all day. And then you're done working, exercising, dieting, and then you're sitting in front of the TV at night and you're like, I'll just have like one cookie. And then 10 minutes later, you're ashamed of your life, and you got crumbs all over your lap. And
yeah, as my doctor said, if we could just not eat after 7 p.m., we'd all be much healthier.
Right.
Yeah, he included himself. So.
Oh, you can drink.
Yeah. Well, you have to wait to do that. You should do that after 7. So.
It's right.
Oh man. Hey, I love this comment. When will Graham and Chuck make a Punisher story? You two would be perfect for it. So
I don't know.
I'm sure Marvel's just calling away at the two of you, but you're turning them down, right?
Hold on, I gotta take this call. It's Tom Brevoort. Hold on.
No.
Yeah, that's weird. My phone's ringing.
Oh shoot. Hold on, let me answer this comment here. Hey, Romu HQ says, "Hey Gabe, thank you for bringing my heroes to your show." Well, thank them for coming on. I'm honored, just like you are, fan. Nolan and Dixon got me into the comic books world with Nightfall. I am a huge fan. Well, there you go, guys.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it.
I don't know, thank you or I'm sorry. I don't know.
No need to apologize, Father.
Maybe to his parents.
Let me see. We had a question here. Let me see. Who draws the Nightfall cover? Do you guys know who this might have been?
That's Mike Diodato.
Okay. On this one, I know who that's Kelly Jones, right?
Yeah.
Love Kelly Jones. I actually got to color him for a Swamp Thing Earth Day poster. So, but I'm grateful I got to work with him. But Earth Day, okay, whatever.
Kelly's a great guy.
Yeah, fantastic artist.
Yeah.
He's the heir to the Bernie Wrightson style, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would.
Yeah.
He's Bernie legend. Bernie would have done an amazing Bane. Did he ever do Bane?
Not that I ever saw.
It's all those amazing shadows he would put in his work.
Yeah, it would be good.
And the musculature. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, so you guys don't like the movie, and that's totally fair because the whole point you bring up about how he's just a patsy for a woman, that doesn't follow the main rule of writing for me and Chuck. Both of you have written plenty. The concept of verisimilitude in writing, where the story can be fantastical and have things that aren't realistic, but it has to agree with itself. The story,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the example I always give is like we can believe in Jon Snow fighting dragons and zombies and all this stuff and having the sword, but he can't escape in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. You see, because that doesn't make any damn sense for that story. So Bane driving the story, the logic is A plus B is C, and then they hit us A plus B is banana because okay, now he's not the point anymore. So yeah, I didn't really catch that when I thought about it. I was just just amazed with the spectacle. Oh my God, it's Bane, and I love this voice because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. When you could understand it.
Right. I wonder now with all the woke stuff in Hollywood, would they allow a white guy to play Bane because of his Hispanic heritage in the comics origin? I wonder about that.
No,
because I know they're very concerned with that stuff.
They would just change it for the hell of it. So it makes no sense what they're doing now.
So will you two team up on anything in the future here? I know about one thing, but will you team up on anything big again? You think any ongoing series, any plans?
No plans right now. Chuck's busy writing novels, and I'm busy with my Compass Comics publishing line. So,
I think one day we'd like to, do a sequel to Joe Frankenstein. But
yeah, definitely.
In both of our heads. So.
Did you say Joe Frankenstein?
Yes,
we did.
I now for those of you who don't know, this is a mini series from IDW that came. How many years ago was this? This was recently, right?
It was
6 years ago, maybe.
It had to be more than 5. I know that.
Well, is that how long you've been on their naughty list or something? Or?
No. Just contractually, it has to be more than 5 because the rights reverted to us. So.
Okay, right. Yeah. So I didn't catch this when it came out, and kindly Graham sent me a signed copy. I think he sent me this one here, and I read it and I loved it. So for those of you out there. I'm sure you can find a graphic novel of this or something on Amazon or single issues on eBay or maybe at your local comic book store. But Joe Frankenstein, it has a great premise. It's Frankenstein in the modern day, right? And then he's always protected the heirs of the line of Frankenstein, descendants and stuff like that. And he meets this little boy here, and there's vampires and stuff. And Frankenstein has this amazing hideout. And that shot Graham, that you did of the hideout that Frankenstein has. It's really majestic is the wrong word, but what is the word I'm looking for? Epic, majestic, I don't know. But it's really, I don't know, it's really cool to see him sitting in that chair in that in that hideout that he has. I don't want to give too much away if people want to check it out.
The grain elevators.
Yeah.
Right. Do you guys want to give me any background on this? Who came up with this? How did you collaborate on this? Because I really like this series.
Well, Joe was an idea that I had. Originally, it was going to be an adventure tale and it was going to be called Doc Frankenstein, and the idea was to make the monster and the kid, or actually the kid was an adult in the original concept idea, to be like Doc Savage. The pulp character, but it was going to be Doc Frankenstein, so it was going to be this adventurer, and he has the monster with him. And then the Wachowski brothers went ahead and copyrighted that name, so I couldn't use it. And so I called Chuck up, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, here, I can't. The whole premise is I gotta call it Doc Frankenstein, and I mean I can't just." I was asking Chuck his opinion about titles and stuff, and I said, I can't just call it Joe Frankenstein. And there's this pregnant pause, and he goes, why not? That's a cool title. And so the pedestrian aspect of Joe Frankenstein gave way to thoughts of redeveloping the idea of him, and the monster actually is doing penance for the murders that he did, and the penance is the protection of the Frankenstein line. And then Chuck had the idea of, well, what if the bride is after them, she's the real villain, she's the one who's still alive, and she's after him. And so it just kind of dovetailed like that. And I said, we were looking for something to work together. I said, you want to work on this together? And that's how it came about.
Yeah, we fiddled around, and nope, we couldn't sell it anywhere, and we were so frustrated. We finally just said, F it, let's just do it,
Really?
And so we ended up doing it, because we weren't going to wait on anybody.
Yeah, we originally this is like I said, I think 2006, maybe something like that.
Sounds right.
And we crowdfunded it. We tried to crowdfund.
Well, tried to
what the hell we were doing. I mean, we barely. I don't think we made enough money to cover printing costs.
I think we paid for the envelopes.
Yeah,
that was about it.
Yeah, if I hadn't emptied out the couch money, we wouldn't have had that much.
Yeah, we sucked at crowdfunding.
Yeah, it did not go well. But then we eventually got it in at IDW, and they did their best not to sell it, and
it wasn't their idea.
yeah. There was nobody involved that was actually on staff, so
really?
We're not going to promote it.
It wasn't written by one of Stephen King's children, so they had no interest.
Yeah, I did some work for IDW early on. Nice guys. They don't pay anything though.
No, they're clueless.
I remember. I did full pencil, ink, and color, and I got about $10 more than my DC color rate for pencil, ink, and color. And I had to give the original art to Gene Simmons because it was his horror anthology book. So that pissed me off that I had to give away my original art. So yeah, Mike Barron wrote that story. Actually, it was kind of like a Tales from the Crypt, House of Secrets, House of Mystery. It was a fun little pulp horror story. I adore those. Do you guys like those? I love all that art by like Nestor Redondo and all those great artists from the 60s and 70s. I have those big phone books that DC put out. House of Secrets and House of Mystery. Do you guys like those? Did you read those when you were young, or did you catch them in reprint? Or
I just did a whole show on them last Monday because I do Monster Monday show, and the week before that it was Marvel's monster boom in the 70s, and then the last week was DC's House of Mystery and all that stuff, and how they were 1950s, code comics that loosened up in the late 1960s, and had some of the greatest artists in comics in them.
I read them when they came out, and I mostly bought them for the artists because the stories were generally pretty lame and predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Warren horror comics, so these things were really weak cheese compared to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to strong cheese. Let me ask you, Chuck. Do you think there's a market for that? I mean, there's always a market for quality, but do you think there's a market for like horror anthology stuff like that with those short 8, 12, 16-page stories? I love those things.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just getting them out, getting out of the superhero ghetto. You can't sell them to the current comic book audience, but you could sell them to the general public. That's where horror comics sold. DC's horror, mystery titles, they call them, because they weren't allowed to use the word horror.
Wow.
They were huge on the newsstand. So were Marvels, because they sold to casual readers. So yeah, you could do it again.
Okay, you brought up a very interesting point, and I'd like to see what both of you think of this. You're saying the superhero ghetto. We know that the fandom of comic books, or at least maybe it's not the fans, maybe it's the publishers. It's so like inbred, incestuous of just superhero. What do you think is a viable way out of that? So we have superheroes, but we get back to doing a lot of romance, a lot of Western, a lot of comedy. I love comedy. I won so many awards for writing comedy in college. I want to write more of it. I helped my daughter and my daughter write her stand-up. She's a stand-up comedian. And what do you guys think is a viable way to bring back all these other genres where they're sustainable so artists can make a living doing it so they can keep making this product? Because I know the market is out there.
Well, don't look to make a living, look to create stuff. So do it yourself, find self-publish it, and then find your audience. The CG audience and the crowdfunding audience loves horror. That's a huge genre. That's why the Chinook did so well. My first thing out of the gate, they love that stuff. And, there's certainly a market for the other stuff as well. But I wouldn't hold my breath and wait on publishers to do that. You got to come up with your own idea and your own take, and either do it yourself or, have somebody, publish it for you that is not part of the mainstream.
Right.
Yeah, and you wouldn't trust. I mean, first time I met Dan DiDio, I had this discussion because I had done a pirate book for CrossGen. It was our biggest selling title. And he said, we should have done a pirate book. And I said, well, yours wouldn't have sold. And he says, why not? I said, because no one would believe you would have done it earnestly. And the one thing we had going for us at CrossGen was earnestness. If we attacked the genre, you knew we were doing it for the love of that genre. And we were going to kick ass on that genre, if it was espionage or Victorian crime or whatever it was. And you couldn't trust, you still can't trust the majors to do what's necessary, do the hard work to make a genre title. So that's why they only do superheroes, because they don't know how to do or market anything else. So like Graham said, don't wait, just do it yourself.
So let me ask you, the two of you, since you were older than me, you saw comics back when they had all kinds of genres. And when did this change to just superhero stuff? Because when I came into liking comics and reading them, it was the Jim Lee X-Men era. That's what got me into buying them. I was aware of them in the years leading up to that, but I was 13 when X-Men 1 came out. So when I started actually buying comics, it was all superhero all the time. And then Image was like over the top superhero. When did all that horror and all that stuff go away? And do you think you know why?
During the 1980s, with the rise of the black and white publishing boom and other independent publishers, there was all kinds of different genres. I mean, Eclipse was a wonderful place to work because, like Chuck was writing Airboy, which was basically a adventure military style comic book. They had Tales of Terror. They had a whole bunch of different genre. Private Eye type stuff, mystery stuff. There was all kinds of genre work that Eclipse was doing, and First Comics, and who were some of those other ones, Chuck?
Well, you had Pacific, you had Kamiko,
right?
You had Now, you had New, you had all these different companies.
Yeah, and they're all and some of them had some superhero stuff too, but there was all this other genre stuff. And when they started to fold by the early 1990s, then that's pretty much it. DC and Marvel had started cutting their lines back too, and by then it was pretty much a fait accompli.
Yeah, and the thing is, it goes back further than that. I mean, I saw it as a comics fan growing up when the fans start becoming pros. You know, and now, you know, it's not the old guys, it's not the World War II generation doing the comics anymore. It's younger guys who are in it because they're fans. They're not in it because they're frustrated novelists or they wanted to be magazine illustrators, and this is just where they wound up. These guys want to be in comics, and they begin taking over writing, editing, all the rest of it. And what they loved was superheroes. That's all they loved. And but in this time period, I mean, Sergeant Rock and Jonah Hex were DC's #1 titles.
I didn't know
superheroes weren't. And at Marvel, they're still selling Western and romance comics, but the fanboys don't want any part of them, and so they sort of intentionally or through neglect run those titles into the ground. They start hiring inferior art talent on them and everything else, and the casual readers who were picking them up on the newsstand, you know, just regular Joes who want to read a comic book, lost interest because the quality.
That makes so much sense. That you have your fanboy editors. They come in the 70s and the 80s, and they're like, "Oh, that's the Western. We'll stick our new artist on that." Or this guy wants to try out as a writer. We'll stick him on that. So the quality suffered because the editors are fanboys.
Yeah, and it's more complicated than that. I mean, they bring in the Filipino artists to do the Westerns and war books. They're great artists, but they had no feel for those genres. And the stories would look beautiful, but when you read them, they were just dead. They're just emotionally dead because these guys had no connection to this material whatsoever. And you can sense it as a reader.
Oh, it's a very specific culture to being an American, the West.
Exactly. Yeah, and the war story. I mean, our war stories aren't like British war stories or Japanese war stories. They're different. And these guys didn't get it. There was no effort. They wanted them gone so that they could make room for more superheroes. And I mean, I could see this happening as a reader.
Wow.
You know, it's like, what's happening here? It's everything is on these, you know, superheroes, and nothing. They're ignoring these titles that I love so much.
Oh, okay, that makes it. I've always wondered why it all went away. Because to me, comic books being completely superhero would be like if I went to the movie theater and everything was science fiction all the time.
Right.
Like I don't want to go to the movies. I don't want to see sci-fi every movie. Once in a while, it's fun. But it's funny you say the Filipino artist because my favorite comic book artist of all time is Nestor Redondo.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I can't believe the draftsman that guy is.
Oh, yeah.
I look like, are these etchings? Like, how did this guy do this? I read all about him. He was I think he got a degree in architecture and all that kind of stuff. So his technical skill. Check out, guys. Just Google Nestor Redondo. I should have got some pics ready, but I didn't know we were going to talk about this. And his quality of line, Graham, like butter. It's just and the way he uses negative and positive space is so amazing. Where he'll use the light and he'll use the white space on the paper to actually be drawing with it. It's just Nestor Redondo. Check him out.
He did a series, a Jungle Girl series called Rima at DC. It was
I bought the whole thing.
I just uncovered them in my storage just like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So
and get that giant DC version of the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nestor did that too.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine?
It's got a great Joe Kubert cover. So
yeah. Can you imagine if they printed that nowadays? I don't want to get into that, but
no, they wouldn't.
Yeah. And, look at, like Chuck was saying about the quality of the genre pieces. You go back to the early 1970s and you pick up Sergeant Rock and you've got Russ Heath just kicking ass on Sergeant Rock. You buy, Our Love comic and you've got John Romita and John Buscema drawing these love stories with these vapid scripts, but my God, they're beautiful to look at.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Let me bring up, I want to bring up a Nestor Redondo real quick for the people to see, because I just, since I mentioned him, I just want people to see. I love this guy's work. It's now this is just on Google here, so it might freak out when I zoom in. But the way he does positive, negative space and the contours and just his quality of line, I can just see that crow quill or that brush in his hand. It's a look at that knee. The way I'm sorry, I'm nerding out here on illustration.
No.
Look at the way those knees are rendered. The 3D of that, my God, that's amazing. And the light and the dark on Thor's calf there, it's like on a dollar bill. Check out. It's in the DC like House of Secrets and House of Mystery and those horror ones. Check out Nestor Down. You can get a bunch of his work for cheap in those.
Yeah.
And it switches artists all the time, but they're short stories. It's some of the most gorgeous work I've ever seen.
It's like looking at Alfredo Alcala's work.
Yeah,
you know, it has that very kind of fluid, liquidy ink line. You know,
I don't know if you draw or not, Chuck, but I do. I'm an illustrator too. And Graham, you can attest to this. You know, when you're inking or drawing and it's a little rough at the start, and then everything gets loose in your mind and your body, and then the ink's just like, you feel like you're watching yourself do it. Do you know what I mean? You get in that zone. And I can see that in Nestor's work. It's like, this guy was born in the zone.
Yeah, I mostly just fake it. So
that's a zone.
It's a zone, yeah. If I'm inking, what I do, I can't even call it inking. I'm like, I think I'm doing this right.
Wow.
The inking part is the Jedi mind wizardry of comics. I don't understand how guys do that.
It's my favorite part of the process.
Yeah,
because all the heavy lifting gets done in the layouts, and then the referencing gag. Once you get to the inks, everything's laid down. The foundation is there. You come in as a carpenter now and you finish it and make it all look pretty.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
The inks, I'm a football guy. I always tell you guys that. I played a lot and coached a lot of football. The inks to me is the game on Friday or Saturday. You know what I mean? The pencils and all that, that's practice and, exercise, sleeping, eating right. The inks, that's like, okay, now we get to show off and have some fun, for the fans. But when you get in that zone inking and that Raphael Kalinsky brush is just flowing with that ink, it's really fun. It's a total Zen moment. So, yeah. I wanted to, before we go, we don't have to go anytime soon, but if you guys got to go, I did want to promote Graham's book. Is this still available for purchase, Graham, or am I?
Oh, yeah. The campaign is still up. Okay. It's being fulfilled. Next will start. They'll be shipped to the fulfillment center next week. I'll go in there and start signing them up, and then they'll start shipping out to all my backers.
Very cool.
Do you want to give us a quick rundown, or do you want me to play the trailer? Or do you want to do both so people can check this out? So this is illustrated by you and then colored by Jason Wright?
No, Greg Wright.
Greg Wright. Sorry. Got my rights wrong.
It's your rights wrong.
Thank you. See, it's not my daughter. It's a comedian.
Nice.
Let me play the trailer really quick.
Yeah, play the trailer.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully this doesn't chug out too much, guys.
Something's weird. It's overplaying.
Yeah.
Over the lettering.
It's like an overlay.
Yeah. A little Sam Elliott inspiration.
Nice.
Very cool. So do you want to give them a quick rundown on the story? Do you have like a 30-second on that, Graham?
Yeah. The story takes place in 1957. It's about a father and son living on their Texas ranch called the Alamo. The father is damaged goods from what happened in World War II. He's suffering from PTSD. His wife has passed, and he's trying to raise his son, and he's distant from him. And what he needs is another war to bring him back together. And that war comes from outer space. These alien creatures come down, and just like the Alamo in Texas, the original Alamo, these guys have to fight off, overwhelming odds and build their relationship at the same time.
It's the rifleman with bugs.
Exactly.
I just found The Rifleman about a month ago. I love westerns. I'd never seen it.
Oh,
And
my God,
is that
so
Chuck
great.
Connors, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, that's a great show. I love those kind of Twilight Zone, just like whatever, where it's the story of the week,
There you go.
Gunsmoke, all that stuff. So much fun. So much fun. I've only seen about 5 or 6 episodes. It's one of those over-the-air channels on the internet. It's like called Cinevolt Western or something. I just found it on my TV. And yeah, they have The Rifleman. They play it like 10 episodes straight at night. So
they're all on Amazon.
are they? Okay.
Yeah. You can watch them all on Amazon.
My favorite TV series of all time.
Really?
Absolutely.
Right.
It's so great.
Doubt. This was the little.
Oh, there
toy,
he is.
The little toy Lucas McCain I had when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And he had that special adjustment to his Winchester so he could rapid fire from the hip and all that.
Well, it was a little. What it was a screw in the lever that would press the trigger down each time he brought the lever back.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And Graham owns a little piece of Rifleman history.
Really?
Yeah.
You have his teeth, Graham. That's great.
I met Chuck Connors. We had dinner together.
Wow.
And we're both guests at a convention because Chuck Connors played professional baseball for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he played professional basketball for the Boston Celtics.
Really?
And so
you look very tall when I saw it.
Yeah.
He's 6'5" without his, cowboy boots on. He was a very, very big man, and just the coolest guy, conservative as you wouldn't believe.
Right.
I was asking him about working on William Wyler's A Big Country, which had Charlton Heston, Gregory Peck, who was an outspoken liberal, and Charlton Heston, was conservative. And I asked him, I said, so what was it like working with Charlton Heston? And he said, he's not conservative. And I said, oh, really? I said, well,
Graham,
what about the
Graham,
Duke? Because John Wayne gave him
it out. I couldn't hear you at all. You said, what was it like working with him? And then I didn't hear anything. Could you repeat it?
Sorry. I asked him what it was like working with the Duke, John Wayne, because John Wayne gave him his first job.
Okay.
And after he said that Charlton Heston wasn't a conservative, and I said, what was it like working with the Duke? He looked at me and he goes, the Duke was the real deal.
I do love that the Duke's real name is Marion. That's just so fitting that he's this big tough guy and he's Marion. Yeah, that's really cool. So Chuck Connors, so he was a delight to have dinner with, I'm assuming. So.
Oh, he was a ball. He's so cool. We got along great. The next day at the convention, I brought my Winchester in and had him sign it on the stock. And, this is pre 9/11 and stuff. And I walked in with his 30-30 Winchester in a scabbard and I pulled out, boom, dropped it down on his table. And he looks up at me and goes, is that real? I said, yeah, that's a real one.
Wow.
He says, oh my God, I don't know if I ever signed a real Winchester.
Oh,
He's
really?
only signing toy ones,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous, man. That signature, he had a great autograph.
Yeah. So. It's right around the corner. Want me to get it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Just don't point it in the camera or someone will flag us or whatever. You know how people are.
I know how people are.
Graham Nolan scared me. So, okay, don't point it at us. Just show. Okay, very cool. Let me make you full screen here.
There
wow. And that is a great signature.
That's a great signature.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm so jealous. I am so jealous.
Right. I've only seen 5 episodes and I'm jealous.
Oh, yeah.
It's
a great show.
Western is my favorite genre. As you guys know, I'm a famous lover of America. And to me, and this is as you know, Graham, I'm a famous lover of the American way. I'm pretty sure Jim Lee knows that too. And hiya, Jim. To me, this is just an opinion. The most American period in our history were the pioneers post Civil War time,
right?
Expanding west, and people just daring. Just going out there and living and dying and just building this world that we have.
Manifest destiny.
Right. It's people laugh when I say it, but I'm not being ironic or funny. My favorite series of all time is Little House on the Prairie.
It's a great series.
Adore. I want to make comics like that. I want to make people cry, and I want them to know that family and heritage is everything. and when we're good to each other and we love each other and we stick up for each other and we just we just fight for what's right and we're men of principle and morals. Like you never see that now.
No.
You now, like, I can't stand, and I want to get your take on this since you've seen a lot of the industry change for the worse, in my opinion. What happened to the real heroes, like a Chuck Connors, like a Michael Landon from Little House on the Prairie, where these were men of principle? Now you have Harlequin is doing cocaine in the movie. I'm like, okay, so she's the good guy, but she does cocaine. And like Deadpool, that's one of two movies I wanted to walk out of. Yes, it's funny, but it was filth. Like, I don't want my hero to be a complete degenerate. It's horrible. So what do you can't? I mean, we can get it back because we're going to make it. We're going to make great new awesome heroes that are good men of principle. But how did that go away? Let me ask you guys that. I know you watched it happen. How did it go away?
Well, I think it went away when the moral principles of the creators went away. They're bankrupt. They're unwilling to admit that there's evil and that there's good. And they want to create a world in which people are confused about what's right and what's wrong. And that's what they're bringing into their work.
Right.
It started when they started hiring writers from England.
Oh,
and that's when it started.
We all know.
All of them except for Alan Grant have like an utter contempt for heroes and a real contempt for American heroes. And they could not write them. I mean, that's how I got Detective, because Peter Milligan could not write a heroic Batman story. And they kept trying and trying, and finally Denny just gave up on it. He said, you don't even understand how this works. You're always making Batman like a fool or angry or something. So he said, he's not likable, he's not admirable anymore. So they brought me in. But I think it dates to that. Nothing again. I mean, the British writers are certainly talented, but they don't have a lot of respect for our values, the American way.
Do you think that's a jealousy that America is the big, handsome, successful brother that's the quarterback, and you're England, not as accomplished when it comes to comics and all that? Do you think it was there's a little bit of jealousy? Because I get that vibe sometimes talking to people about America and its exceptionalism. I really do feel the jealousy. If you'll indulge me, a quick story. I was at WonderCon in like 2009, and two fans came up to me to get sketches or autographs or whatever at my Artist Alley table. One of them was from Dubai, Arab guy like me, and one of them was from Ireland, and they were going to the Pratt Institute there in San Francisco. They were going to art school, and they couldn't stop shitting on America. They were like, oh, well, like just weird stuff. Like, well, blue jeans were invented in Ireland, and rock and roll was invented in Ireland, and something Dubai. And finally, I just said to the two of them, well, you're here in my country at a convention in my country, reading books that are made in my country. So going to an art college in my country. So what the hell are you two talking about? Right. But I do think there's a thing where people have this chip on the shoulder where nothing is better than me. No one can be better than me. And I think as well as Watchmen is written, it's amazingly written. There is what you're saying. I agree, like a contempt for it. Like, how dare American comics be better than me or whatever, more successful. So here, let me deconstruct, make them all cynical and unhappy. And do you think I'm onto something there? Or am I just full of nonsense here?
I think they were just carrying over their own feelings of guilt from their colonial days or whatever that they were talked into, apologizing for empire, and they just translated it to the United States. I mean, they were writing all this dystopic stuff taking place in America because nobody wanted to read anything dystopic about England. So they wrote it about America. And, you look at their heroes. I mean, Harry Potter is probably the only real hero that's come out of English anything in decades. And look how people responded to it.
Right.
But look at their greatest hero existent today is James Bond. I love James Bond. I love the movies. I love the novels. But James Bond is a prick. I mean, he's not a hero by any means. I mean, most of the time he's
good at his job.
Yeah, he's good at his job, and he's really good at saving his own life. I mean, and be damned anybody else. I mean, virtually every Bond movie has the bad Bond girl, and she always dies because he can't save her.
Right.
Or doesn't bother or whatever. So, I mean, I think that they have like their own guilt feelings about, heroic characters.
What's your take on that, Graham?
I think that they don't understand how America and Americans think. That we, as a people, are go-getters. We had to be when we settled this nation, and we don't think of any obstacle too great to overcome.
Right.
Whereas they, with their caste systems and stuff, don't feel they have those opportunities, and so they get beaten down by those lack of opportunities, and they take that out in their cynicism. There's a cynicism with European art community that doesn't exist, at least in old American art community, because everything was hopeful. American comics were hopeful. They were
agreed.
About greatness and heroic ideals and stuff like that.
But I want to say this is about English comic book writers, not English people by any means.
No.
I'm not being critical of anybody in the United Kingdom. You're all fantastic.
No, Chuck also hates the British. He told me we were off the air. Do not let him get away with this shit.
Well, I am an Ulster Scot, so I have reasons.
But yeah, I think
I hate the British because I'm Irish.
There you go. I hate the Irish because they threw us out of Ireland.
Oh, there you go.
We didn't want your kind.
No, you didn't. Nobody did. That's why they brought us here in chains.
Right. I think there is a fundamental misunderstanding about American exceptionalism and what it means. Because when you say America's an exceptional, people right away say you're a white supremacist. And I'm like, hold on. I never said white exceptionalism. The thing about Americans, it doesn't matter what color we are. I think for the foreign audience that might be catching this, we're talking about a hopefulness, a confidence, a belief in no limits. That's what unifies us as Americans, and that comes from free speech. Because if you can say anything you want with all these idiot cancel culture people, if you could say anything, you could think anything, and if you could think anything, you could do anything, and that's why our flag is on the moon. And people say, oh, you're a pro-American, so you're white. First of all, I'm not white, and that's not what it means. All the people that dared to come here, whether they're Irish or Scot or whatever, or Arab like my father or the Mexican side of my family, they came here because they were daring people. So, of course, I inherited that trait from them. We were the kind of people that, looked around Ireland or looked around Libya. My dad looks around Libya and says, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And it was scary for my dad to come here. He's like 22 or something. Doesn't even speak the language. So, and Graham and Chuck, I'm sure your ancestors were the same. They looked around where they were and said, I can do better. I can do more. And that's what unifies us as Americans.
And imagine the courage that takes to leave a home country, your family, your friends, and all that, and go someplace across the ocean with no guarantees. The only guarantee you have is the guarantee to seek out your own happiness.
Well, Angela here has it right. America is the only country that started on an idea. And that's what American exceptionalism is. It's the idea of America. It's your individual worth, your worth as an individual, and your value as an individual, and your rights as an individual. I always say, look, you can go to Germany tomorrow and become a citizen. You're never going to be German. You can go to Japan. You're never going to be Japanese. You come to America and you go through the citizenship process, and you're an American. And every American accepts you as that.
Right.
Because you get the idea. You're with us. We're all working toward this promised land where everybody is, does their own thing and gets left alone and is happy.
Right.
So,
well, I don't know.
We go to New York City and you take an Uber. You get these Uber drivers, and I've had so many interesting conversations with these Uber drivers. They usually come from like sub-Saharan Africa. One guy I met was a doctor there, and he had to come over to America. He had to escape where he was at. He brought his family eventually over, and he has to go through the process of becoming a doctor here. And until he can do that, he's going to school at night, and he's driving an Uber, and he's chasing the dream. And he has nothing but praise for this country. Another guy I talked to was an engineer in his home country. Right. And he came over here seeking a better life for his family too. And he's doing the same thing. He's trying to figure out his place, but he's seeking his own happiness with no restrictions. And he's making the dream come true. And, they're just amazing, amazing stories. These immigrants that come over and tell their tales when they come for that reason, for hard work and to better their lives.
Yeah, right. In the 70s, I did a lot of janitor work. I didn't go to college. And I worked with a lot of boat people. people over from Vietnam, fresh over from Vietnam.
Right.
And I was working with this guy one night. I was basically showing him how to use a buffering machine. I said, well, what did you do in Vietnam? And he goes, biggest medical house in Saigon. I said, oh, you worked there? He goes, I owned it.
Right.
Wow.
It was buffing floors for minimum wage.
Wow. Yeah, my dad was a valedictorian of his high school. He went to the University of Tripoli. He got his chemistry degree when he was all young. But he got out of there because it wasn't. You saw what Gaddafi did. They killed my grandfather, killed a bunch of my dad's friends.
And now it's even worse.
Yeah, I've never been there because my dad is on a death list. You know what I mean, under Gaddafi's government. So
everybody there is on a death list.
Right. Well, Gaddafi got his pretty bad. I don't know if you ever saw the video.
That was real bad. I predicted that, by the way. I wrote a novel where he dies, and I started the novel before he was dead. And by the time I was finishing it, they killed him, so I was able to go into more detail.
They wrote your ending for you. That's good.
That's exactly what
you got to stick the landing. So thank you, rebels. I guess I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's thanking anybody in Libya these days.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I asked my dad, can we go there now? And he's like, no, I talked to my brother and they're still just shooting in the streets and stuff.
Yes, it's Road Warrior. It's horrible. Yeah. It's horrible because it's once great country.
Yeah, I could tell you guys some stuff off air, but my dad's very best childhood friends, and they're still best friends, was the prime minister right after Gaddafi was deposed. Wow. His name is Mustafa. You just look up Mustafa, Prime Minister Libya 2011. That's literally my dad's childhood friend. They've been best friends for
awesome.
50-something years. And he told my dad, he was prime minister for a little while. And not anymore. But that guy's an amazing dude. He's accomplished a ton. But the stuff he told my dad, you're like, oh, okay. We are just considered sheep and cattle to the elites.
Yes.
Like, yikes.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little heavy here. I don't want to get too negative. We're having fun on a Friday. Bane came in. Let me ask you one more question about Bane. The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Was that the one that had the Bane in it, or was that the Val Kilmer one? Which one had that Bane was horrible?
The George Clooney.
That was it. Okay. I don't think I ever saw that Batman because I just heard it wasn't good. I think I've seen every other one, but I think that's the one I haven't seen.
Graham and I were at San Diego Con when it came out, and we went 2 nights in a row to see it. And when we got to the box office, each time we went, I don't feel like seeing it. So we never saw it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What did we end up seeing? Face Off?
We saw Hard Target, and the next night we saw Face Off.
Okay.
That's Hard Target was a blast because the audience was half full of drunken sailors. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I love Hard Target. That is the greatest, greasiest mullet I've ever seen. And my character in Beef Law, that's my love letter to Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal. It's a comic I'm working on. It's right there. He has the exact same haircut, the main character from Hard Target. So, I'm very excited about that.
I don't even remember the movie.
I think it's based off of The Most Dangerous Game, right? Where they're hunting human beings.
Yeah, it kind of is. I just remember Wilford Brimley on a horse, and I didn't know at the time he was actually a rodeo guy.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a stunt man. I was like, no, it was him.
And I'm pretty sure that's the movie where Van Damme brought John Woo over from Hong Kong cinema to America.
Yeah, it's his first American film.
Oh, that's right. I remember that was a selling point.
As you know, I am the world's greatest Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. So I absolutely adore those movies. I know, but I love them. Okay?
We all have those guilty pleasures, man.
You have to understand, I was like 13 or 14 when that stuff was happening, and it was like, I couldn't believe it. It was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, so, I like a lot of that stuff too. I love that Foreign Legion movie he made. That's
yes, right. And he did that with his longtime collaborator, Sheldon Lettich. Yeah. Sheldon wrote, I think he did Lionheart, he did Bloodsport. I think he also wrote Rambo 3. There's a YouTube channel I love called Viking Samurai, and all he talks about is Steven Seagal and Sylvester Stallone and Van Damme and all that, and he interviews writers and directors and all that stuff, and he has tons of videos with Sheldon Lettich talking about all those movies. Cool. So check out Viking Samurai. I don't have the link for it handy, but it's pretty easy to find that. Yeah, Viking Samurai is really fun. So is there anything else you guys wanted to promote or talk about? I'll bring it up if you want to tell me about it or...
Well, I got a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And it's just Graham Nolan on YouTube. Mondays is Monster Monday. We talk about monster, sci-fi, mystery, horror, comics, movies, all different stuff that falls under that genre. Then I do the professionals with my amigos on Thursdays, and then the Comics Gate Kings on Monday.
Right. And what about you, Chuck?
I got a YouTube channel too. It's just Chuck Dixon. Mondays I talk about what I'm watching on TV because people seem interested. They always ask me questions. In my most recent one, I dissect Home Alone 2, and it gets pretty ugly. Okay. And then every Wednesday it's Ask Chuck Dixon. People just write or whatever questions for me, and I answer them. I go pretty deep on some subjects.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that sounds awesome, man. Yeah, because I'm sure with your long experience, the two of you, people want to get to see more content from you and then Chuck to ask you questions. I put your Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that in the description so people can follow you there. Great. I didn't put the YouTube on there, but on YouTube, you're just Graham Nolan and just Chuck Dixon, not like not like Cool Boy 97, 420 or anything.
No. I was Cool Boy 97, but I changed it to Graham Nolan because I couldn't remember it.
That's why I had to use Cool Boy 98. You took the name, damn it. So.
Well, he was only Cool Boy in 97. So.
Oh, jeez.
With my big glasses, my porn mustache, and my mullet.
You had a mullet?
I did in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I would love to see a picture of you with a mullet. Yeah, I still got mine. I'm hanging on. Yeah. It's not as thick as I would like. Yeah. I am jealous of your look though, Chuck. You got all that beautiful white hair. Yeah, so I hope mine stays intact. Yeah. My dad is shiny bald though. So I don't know. But on the
I don't know. I always heard you have to look at your uncle. Your uncle is the one. If you have a bald uncle, you'll be bald.
He had his hair. Okay. He had his hair till he passed away. But his dad, my grandpa, didn't. So I don't know. But we're holding on. We're holding on at the El Taib Fortress. So, yeah, because my brother's pretty thin and my dad's been shiny bald since his middle 30s. So,
yeah. Well, I got some Cherokee blood, so I'm hanging on to my hair.
Oh, okay. My wife is Native American and Indian more so than me. I'm a little Native. I think she's more because her and my kids, thank God my kids got her hair like horse, like a mane. All of them are just a mop. I had to pay for so many haircuts for my son every 2 minutes growing up. So I hope they have better hair than me, the two of them.
Yeah, my sister did a genealogy test recently, one of those DNA tests, and apparently I owe myself reparations. So.
Well, how much are you going to pay yourself? What do you think?
I don't know. I have to work it out how much of the DNA is African American, but it's there.
And then prorate it?
Yeah, not terribly surprised.
I'm furiously searching for a picture of you with the mullet, Graham. We don't have any.
Just show a picture of the Everly Brothers. It'll show you exactly what he looked like.
Oh, that's hilarious. Let's see. Oh, you know what, Graham? Has anyone ever told you that you look a little, let me blow this up here. You look a little like Liam Neeson. Has anyone ever told you that?
Liam's Neeson?
You don't think so?
That's a terrible picture of Liam Neeson.
I didn't know Liam Neeson was that good looking.
No, it's a compliment. He's a leading man, right?
Right. Yeah, well, so was Rodney Dangerfield for a while.
Yeah. Did you guys ever see Darkman with Liam Neeson?
Oh yeah.
I just saw that a month ago. That's insane. It was great though. Yeah. Completely insane.
I like the sequels too with Arnold Vosloo.
I haven't seen those.
They're cool.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
First of all, I should ban this person from the channel. My hair is not doomed. I rebuke that statement. I'm going to have a mane. My hair's making a comeback, baby. It's going to rally. Just like all those awesome adventure comics we're going to make. So, someone roasting me for having the Eddie Monster. Well, I do love monsters. So, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Did you want to make fun of Bane some more, or what did we want to do? You guys had enough of me?
I've had enough of you. How about you, Chuck? Have you had enough?
I got a Zoom call in 30 minutes. So.
Okay, I'll let you go because if you let me, I'll just talk to you all day. I'll end up putting the Bane mask on and asking you a bunch of questions.
Well, we will reconvene.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, we'll have to make it a more regular thing. I want you guys to have a great Christmas, Happy New Year, and enjoy all that because I know we all got to scatter different ways and stuff like that. But I'll be doing some more YouTube, for the fans out there. I'll keep doing it through the holidays here and there. Cool. But thank you two so much for coming on. Bane says thank you too. and to help get him out of there, help him get out of DC. But thank you guys so much, and I want to thank.
Thanks
the
for
fans
having us
tuning
on,
in.
Gabe.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Okay,
This was fun. It's always fun.
Yeah, you guys are great. I told Chuck last week, and I wanted to tell you, Graham, you're like a new old friend. You know, I don't know why, but we just seem to get along. So,
Well, welcome home.
Well,
Yeah,
it's good to see you again.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to talk to you guys later. Bye, everyone. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out their channels. Check us all out on social media. Have a great Friday. Bye.
Happy holidays, folks.